The Odyssey wasn't just a spaceship, it was a beacon, a floating monument of what the galaxy could be when different species, ideologies, and technologies came together. Crafted by engineers from 10 worlds, powered by knowledge, centuries ahead of its time, it was destined to rewrite the maps of the cosmos. Peace, discovery, unity, that was the mission. But the universe had its own plans. At its helm was Captain Alara Ward, calculated, relentless, a woman forged in the fires of cosmic conflict. Her reputation stretched across systems, the kind of leader who didn't flinch in zero gravity or second-guess herself under alien fire. Alongside her stood Navigator Qualex of Dren, an ethereal being with emerald skin and golden eyes that reflected stars. He wasn't human, but he was brilliant, measured, almost emotionless. Together, they guided a crew as diverse as the galaxy itself. For months, the journey had been smooth. They charted unknown territories, made first contact with new civilizations, and brokered peace where others would have ignited war. Then, one day without warning, the Odyssey screamed. The lights dimmed, consoles sparked, gravity flickered. Alarms roared through the corridors as systems began shutting down one by one. No explanation, no external attack, just failure. Total, terrifying failure. Then the stars outside the viewport vanished, replaced by a spinning blur of gray and red. The ship was no longer flying, it was falling. Alara barked orders, her voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. She didn't panic, she never did. Qualex's hands flew over his console, recalculating descent vectors, rerouting power, overriding safety locks, but it was no use. The planet below was a stranger, no known atmosphere, no recorded name, only gravity and death. The descent was merciless. The Odyssey broke the atmosphere in a violent scream, flames licking at its hull, metal tearing like paper. The impact was not just a crash, it was a cataclysm. Towers of fire erupted from the surface. Pieces of the ship rained across the desert like falling stars. Then, silence. Alara woke in that silence, not to comfort or safety, but to pain. Her ribs ached, her vision swam. The oxygen mask hung loose. All around her, the once magnificent Odyssey lay broken, like a fallen titan. Twisted beams jutted out like bones. The air reeked of fuel and burning alloy. Her first thought wasn't about herself. It was her crew. Qualex, she shouted into the smoke, voice cracking with fear. No answer. She stumbled forward, stepping over shattered panels, ducking falling wires. Panic threatened to take her, but then she saw movement. A shape, slender, limping. Qualex. His face was slashed, his robes torn, but he was alive. Somehow. She rushed to him, heart pounding. "Are you okay?" He looked at her through half-lidded golden eyes. "I am functional." It wasn't reassurance, but it was enough. Still, the nightmare had just begun. The rest of the crew was missing. Maybe dead, maybe worse. The planet stretched in every direction, a wasteland of cracked earth and scorched sand. No cities, no wildlife, just silence. Alara clenched her fists. She couldn't fall apart, not now. "We salvage, we find shelter, we survive." They began picking through the wreckage, tools, food packs, comm devices, anything still intact, but the heat, the exhaustion, the weight of command, it was crushing. And Qualex, methodical as ever, made everything harder. He questioned her choices. She resented his tone. Their survival strategies clashed at every turn. "You waste energy on emotion," he said. "And you waste time doubting instinct," she shot back. It wasn't personal, not yet, but the friction built like static. And yet, something shifted. In their arguments, there was honesty. In their silence, understanding. two beings from different worlds forced into survival by a universe that had abandoned them. As the sun dipped low, the light bent orange across the sky, casting jagged shadows over what remained of the Odyssey. The wind howled through broken metal like ghosts singing songs of doom. They built a shelter from fragments and debris, just enough to keep the night out. But the night was cold. It bit into them. It whispered of death. They huddled together, not out of friendship but out of need. No words, just breathe. Just survival. Alara turned to him, her voice barely a whisper. Tomorrow we search. There has to be something. Water, food, life. Qualex didn't reply right away. He just stared into the void, as if listening to something she couldn't hear. Then he nodded. Tomorrow. And in that word was hope. Because in a galaxy filled with chaos, betrayal, and ruin, they were still here. And they were not done yet. The harsh reality of survival on Alpha 97 had begun. And with it, a connection formed that neither Alara nor Qualex could have ever anticipated. The cold, unforgiving light of dawn sliced across the barren landscape, casting long shadows over the jagged rocky terrain that stretched endlessly before them. It was a far cry from the lush, vibrant worlds Alara had once known and traveled to. The beauty of those places now seemed like a distant dream, replaced by the stark, desolate wilderness of Alpha 97. As Alara and Qualex emerged from their makeshift shelter, the freezing morning air gripped them, their breath turning to vapor as they exhaled. Every movement felt heavy in the cold. The endless barren terrain spread out before them like a relentless sea of rock and dust. Alara's thoughts raced with urgency. They had to survive, and to do so, they needed the most basic elements, water and food. We need to prioritize finding water and food, Alara said firmly, her voice carrying a note of raw determination. She could feel the weight of their survival pressing on her, the endless days ahead of them making every step feel like an eternity. Qualex, standing beside her, surveyed the horizon with his usual calm demeanor. His golden eyes scanned the land with precision, noting every detail. He nodded once, the unspoken understanding between them solidifying with a simple movement. Agreed, he replied in his measured tone. I will search the southern perimeter while you explore the northern sector. For a moment, Alara hesitated. The idea of splitting up in such an isolated and dangerous environment made her uneasy. The thought of navigating this harsh new world alone was terrifying. But she knew he was right. Splitting their efforts would give them a better chance of finding something, anything, that could sustain them. All right, she said, her voice steady despite the fear stirring in her chest. Let's stay in communication. If you find anything, signal me immediately. Without another word, they set off in opposite directions, the vast emptiness of Alpha 97 surrounding them like a suffocating shroud. The landscape stretched out in every direction, a haunting reminder of their isolation. Alara's boots crunched against the rocky surface as she moved carefully, her eyes scanning for any sign of life or resources. The terrain was rough and unforgiving, offering no shelter, no respite from the crushing heat of the sun. Hours passed, and Alara's resolve began to waver. Her stomach growled in protest, her throat dry as the dust clung to her lips. She pressed on, her mind focused on one thing, survival. She couldn't afford to return empty-handed. Then, as she climbed a jagged outcrop, something caught her eye in the distance. A glint, a flash of light. Her heart quickened, and her breath caught in her chest. Hope surged within her. She made her way toward the glint, each step a desperate plea for salvation. When she reached the source, she saw it, an unmistakable sign of life. A small, trickling stream, its clear waters sparkling under the harsh sunlight. Her heart raced with excitement, and a wave of relief washed over her. She knelt by the stream, quickly filling her canteen, taking careful sips to make the precious water last. The sound of the water flowing was a balm to her parched throat. She marked the coordinates on her map and immediately activated her communicator. "I found water," she said, her voice trembling with the relief that threatened to overwhelm her. "I'm marking the location. Head back to the ship and we'll regroup." "Understood," came Qualex's calm reply. "I haven't found food yet, but I will continue searching." With a renewed sense of hope, Alara made her way back to the wreckage. The discovery of water was a small victory, but it was crucial. It was something to hold on to in the face of everything else they had lost. She waited anxiously, her mind filled with thoughts of what the next steps would be. When Qualex finally returned, his expression was somber, and Alara could see the weight of their predicament written clearly on his face. "We have to keep searching," Alara said, her voice low but firm. "But at least we have water. That's a start." The day passed quickly as they fortified their shelter, ensuring it could withstand the coming nights. They made plans to explore further, but as the sun dipped below the horizon, a biting cold settled over the planet, making the silence even more oppressive. They huddled together once again, the only warmth coming from the flickering fire in front of them. Breaking the silence, Alara turned to Qualex. "Tell me about Dren," she asked softly, genuinely curious about his homeworld, the culture he had left behind. Qualex hesitated, and for a moment, Alara thought he wouldn't speak at all. But then he began, his voice quiet and reflective. "Dren is a world of vast oceans and towering cliffs," he said, his voice softening as he spoke of his homeland. "Our cities are carved into the cliffs, overlooking the endless sea. We value knowledge, science, and harmony above all." Alara listened intently, imagining the world he described. She could almost picture the grand cliffs and the serene, of wonder at how something so beautiful could exist in such a desolate place. "It's amazing how life finds a way, even in the harshest conditions," she said, her voice filled with awe. Qualex nodded. "Life is resilient, Captain Ward, much like us." Their journey was far from over, but with each day their connection grew stronger. They had become more than just survivors on a desolate planet. They were partners, allies, and perhaps something even more. As their bond deepened, they found moments of peace in the chaos, moments of beauty in the harshness of their surroundings. And together, they knew they could face whatever the future held. Their eyes locked, and in that instant, both Alara and Qualex knew that something profound had shifted. The connection between them, something neither of them had expected or understood, was undeniable. It wasn't just the vast, empty wilderness of Alpha 97 that had brought them together. It was their shared experiences, their challenges, and the way they had relied on each other for survival. Now, standing on the precipice of something more, they couldn't deny the powerful force drawing them closer. Alara felt a magnetic pull deep within her chest, one that she couldn't fight. As if it was a force beyond her control, she leaned in. The world around them faded as their lips met in a soft, lingering kiss, one that sealed their bond in a way that words never could. The warmth of their shared affection, the tender pressure of their lips, was filled with hope, promise, and something far more profound. It wasn't just a kiss, it was a vow. It was the promise of a future, of love that transcended everything, distance, danger, and even the vastness of space itself. The campfire crackled in the background, casting flickering shadows across their faces, as Alara and Qualex shared a quiet, intimate moment. Their love had grown through every obstacle they'd overcome. Through each day they spent side by side in the harsh landscape of Alpha 97. The connection that once seemed improbable had now become a vital part of their very existence. And now, under the blanket of stars in the night sky, they could no longer deny the powerful attraction they shared. As Alara pulled back slightly, their breaths mingling in the cool night air, she couldn't help but whisper the words that had been building inside her for so long. "I've never felt this way before," she said softly, her fingers tracing the contours of his jaw. Her voice trembled with the weight of her emotions. "It's like our souls are intertwined." Qualex's golden eyes shimmered with a depth of emotion that caught Alara off guard. There was something about his gaze that spoke of a love that was as ancient as the stars themselves. He looked at her as though she was the very center of his universe. "Alara," he said, his voice steady, but filled with something raw and profound. "Your presence has become my guiding light. Your strength, your passion, everything about you has ignited something in me that I never knew existed." His words hit her like a wave crashing against the shore, a powerful reminder of how deeply they had come to rely on one another. Their hands intertwined, and Alara felt the warmth of his touch spread through her like a lifeline. The sensation of their connection was electrifying, intimate and intense. Without saying a word, Qualex gently pulled her onto his lap, wrapping his strong arms around her, as if protecting her from the harsh world around them. "You are so beautiful," he murmured, his breath hot against her ear, sending a shiver down her spine. "Your spirit, your resilience, everything about you captivates me." Alara's heart raced as she leaned in again, pressing her lips to his with a deeper, more passionate kiss this time. The urgency between them was undeniable, a reflection of the longing they had both been holding back. Her hands roamed over his chest, feeling the strength of his muscles beneath the cool, alien skin. Qualex responded with a low growl of pleasure, his hands caressing her, his touch filled with a reverence that spoke volumes of his feelings for her. The kiss deepened, the intensity rising with each passing second. Their bodies pressed closer, a natural, undeniable pull drawing them together. Alara's fingers tangled in Qualex's hair as she pressed herself against him, feeling the heat of his body through the fabric of their clothes. There was no denying it now. She wanted him, needed him in a way that was all-consuming. It wasn't just about passion, it was about something far deeper, an emotional connection that neither of them had anticipated. "I want you," she breathed, her voice thick with desire. Qualex's eyes darkened, his expression shifting with an intensity that took her breath away. "I've longed for this moment," he said, his voice a low, husky whisper. "To feel you, to claim you as mine." In one swift, graceful motion, Qualex laid Alara down on the soft ground, his body hovering over, his lips kissed her neck, then her collarbone, each touch sending waves of pleasure through her body. Alara arched her back, pressing herself closer to him as her hands explored the solid form of his alien body. Their movements were slow, deliberate, each touch savored, every moment a step towards something neither of them had ever fully experienced before. Qualex's touch was electric. His fingers traced patterns on her skin that left her trembling with anticipation. Each kiss he placed on her body seemed to ignite a fire within her, a growing warmth that filled her from the inside out. Her heart beat wildly as she felt the intensity of their lovemaking. There was nothing gentle about it now. It was primal, raw, and utterly beautiful. As their bodies moved together, it was as if they were in perfect harmony, their rhythm instinctive and natural. Alara moaned softly as the sensation overwhelmed her, every nerve alive with the intensity of their connection. It was a dance, a perfect fusion of love, passion, and unity. As they reached the peak of their lovemaking, their cries echoed into the still night air, a testament to the overwhelming emotions they shared. Alara clung to Qualex, her body trembling with the aftershocks of pleasure. He held her close, their hearts beating in sync, their connection deeper than ever before. They lay together, entwined in each other's arms as the world around them seemed to vanish into the night. Alara rested her head on his chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heart, feeling a peace that she had never known before. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, she felt truly at home. "Qualex," she whispered, her voice filled with love and tenderness. "I love you." Qualex's arms tightened around her, and his voice came low and filled with emotion. "And I love you, Alara." The days that followed were different. They were filled with a new sense of purpose, a renewed vigor for life. The bond they shared gave them the strength to face the harsh realities of Alpha 97, and together they found motivation in each other. They faced every challenge with determination and love, each moment bringing them closer. Their relationship blossomed in the most unexpected ways. They found comfort in each other's presence, and their conversations deepened as they shared their hopes, dreams, and fears. They laughed together, finding small moments of joy in the midst of their ongoing struggle. One evening, as they sat under the stars, Qualex shared a love poem from Dren, his voice soft and melodic. The words, though foreign, carried a depth of emotion that resonated with Alara. She listened intently, her heart swelling with love for the alien who had become her partner, her confidant, and now her lover. In return, Alara shared a story from Earth, a tale of two lovers who defied all odds to be together. Qualex listened, his golden eyes reflecting the emotions of the story. They held each other close, finding solace and strength in their shared narratives, understanding each other's worlds more deeply than they ever had before. But their love, as beautiful as it was, wasn't without its challenges. They grappled with the implications of their relationship, the uncertainty of their future, and the isolation of being stranded on Alpha 97. Still, they faced these challenges together, their bond unshakable. One day, while exploring a new area, they stumbled upon something extraordinary, an ancient structure partially buried in the sand. It was a relic from a bygone era, its purpose and origins shrouded in mystery. Intrigued, they decided to investigate, hoping that it might hold the key to their escape from Alpha 97. Inside the structure, they discovered remnants of advanced technology, long forgotten and covered in dust. Qualex's eyes lit up with excitement as he examined the devices, his mind racing with possibilities. "This technology is incredibly advanced," he said, his voice filled with awe. "If we can figure out how to activate it, we might be able to send a signal for help." Alara's heart quickened with hope. "Do you think it's possible?" she asked, her voice filled with anticipation. Qualex nodded, his face determined. "I believe so. It will take time, but we have the skills and knowledge to make it work." For days, they worked tirelessly to decipher the ancient technology, repairing its damaged components and unlocking its mysteries. With each step forward, their bond grew stronger, fueled by their shared goal and the love they had for one another. Moments of tenderness, of shared smiles, gentle touches, and soft kisses filled the space between their labor, reminding them of the reason they were fighting. Not just for survival, but for a future together. One evening, as they sat by the fire, Qualex took Alara's hand, his eyes reflecting the depth of his feelings. "Alara, no matter what happens, I want you to know that you have changed my life in ways I never imagined," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. You are my strength, my hope, my love." Tears filled Alara's eyes as she looked at him, her heart swelling with love and gratitude. "Qualex, you've given me a reason to keep fighting, to believe in a future beyond this planet," she whispered. "I love you more than words can express." Their kiss, filled with passion and tenderness, spoke volumes about the unbreakable bond they shared. They held each other close, their love a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of connection. Days turned into weeks, and their determination never wavered. The final components of the ancient technology were completed, and Qualex's eyes lit up with excitement. "Alara, I think we've done it," he said, his voice trembling. "The signal is ready to be sent." Alara's heart raced. "Do it, Qualex," she said, her voice steady despite the excitement in her chest. "Send the signal." Qualex activated the device and a pulse of energy surged through the ancient technology. The signal was sent, a beacon of hope reaching out into the vastness of space. They waited, their hearts filled with a mixture of hope and anxiety. Days passed, each one stretching into eternity, but they never lost hope. They knew that together they had already overcome the impossible. Now they would wait for what came next. The days had felt like an eternity, the harsh winds of Alpha 97 and the cold, unforgiving landscape testing the very limits of Alara and Qualex's strength. But despite the crushing isolation, despite the overwhelming odds, they had made it. And now a breakthrough had arrived. One morning, as Alara stood gazing at the barren horizon, she felt a strange buzz in the air. Her heart skipped a beat when the signal finally came through. A response. It was faint at first, distant, but unmistakable. It was a signal, coming from the stars. A lifeline, their salvation. For a moment, everything stopped. The world around them went silent. The hum of the camp, the crackling of the fire, the whisper of the wind, they all faded as Alara turned to Qualex, their eyes locked, both knowing instantly what this meant. They had done it. They had survived. Tears filled Alara's eyes as they embraced, holding each other tightly, their emotions overflowing in the rawest of moments. In that one embrace, everything they had endured, every hardship, every trial, every moment of fear, faded into the background. They had fought together, never giving up on the other, and now they had succeeded. They weren't alone anymore. They were going home. They moved swiftly, packing their belongings, each movement filled with the weight of excitement and anticipation. The rescue ship would be there soon. They could feel it in the air. But as Alara prepared herself for the arrival of their saviors, something shifted inside her. A strange sensation rippled through her abdomen. She paused for a moment, her hand instinctively moving to her stomach, her breath catching in her throat. The moment her fingers brushed her skin, she realized that something was different. She couldn't explain it at first, but then it became clear. There, beneath her hand, was a small yet noticeable bump. Her heart raced as she processed the realization. Her mind was flooded with a mix of surprise, disbelief, and joy. She was going to have a child, their child. The thought took her breath away, and for a moment, the world around her seemed to blur. "Qualex," she whispered, her voice filled with awe. It felt as though the words could barely leave her lips, the weight of the moment overwhelming her. Qualex turned toward her, his golden eyes widening in astonishment as he saw her hand resting gently on her stomach. A look of shock mixed with wonder crossed his face, and he moved toward her slowly, as though unsure of what he was seeing. His hand gently covered hers, the two of them standing there, a moment suspended in time. "Aura," he whispered, his voice trembling with emotion. "We are going to have a child." the words hung between them, carrying a gravity neither of them had expected. In that moment, their bond shifted again, deeper, more profound. It was a realization that connected them even more intimately. Their love, born in the darkness of their shared struggles, had created new life. It was a symbol of everything they had fought for, everything they had survived. Their connection wasn't just emotional. It had brought something new into the world, something that was a testament to their resilience, their strength, and their love. As they prepared to leave Alpha 97, the arrival of the rescue ship brought a mixture of emotions. The ship arrived, its engines roaring like a force of nature as it came down to rescue them. When they stepped aboard, they were greeted by a team of scientists and explorers, their faces a mixture of awe and admiration. Alara and Qualex's story, one of love, survival, and perseverance, captured the hearts of everyone. They had made it. They had survived the impossible, and now they were going home. As the ship carried them away from the desolate world, Alara and Qualex stood by the window, gazing out into the stars. The vast expanse of space stretched out before them, a reminder of everything they had left behind, but also of everything they had gained. Together, their bond had been forged in the most extreme conditions. Together, they had faced the darkest parts of the universe and come out stronger. Together, they had found something that no one else could have imagined, a love that transcended the stars, a love that defied the odds. Alara turned to Qualex, her heart filled with a mixture of gratitude and something more profound. "We did it, Qualex," she said softly, her voice full of awe and emotion. "We survived, and now we're bringing new life into the world." Qualex's eyes shone with emotion, the depth of their journey reflected in his gaze. He nodded, a rare, genuine smile crossing his face. "Yes, Alara, our child will be a symbol of our love and the possibilities of our two worlds coming together. This is just the beginning." Their journey had not just been about survival. It had been about discovering something deeper, something eternal. It had been a journey of love, understanding, and connection. They had learned to embrace each other's differences and grow stronger together. And now they were on the brink of something even greater. As the stars twinkled beyond the window, Alara rested her hand gently on her growing belly, a silent promise to the child she was carrying. The future was uncertain, yes, but it was also filled with infinite possibilities. For the first time in months, she felt a profound sense of peace. They had made it. They had conquered the darkest part of their lives. But the journey wasn't over. There was more to come. Alara and Qualex looked out at the stars, hand in hand, their hearts entwined. The ship carrying them through the vastness of space was not just a vehicle to safety. It was a symbol of everything they had overcome and everything they had yet to discover. They were about to step into a new life, one filled with hope, love, and endless possibilities. They were no longer two lost souls on a barren planet. They were a family, their bond unbreakable, their future bright. "We're ready," Alara whispered, her voice filled with certainty. "Whatever comes next, we will face it together." Qualex squeezed her hand, his golden eyes filled with unwavering determination. "Yes, Alara. Together, we'll face whatever the universe has in store, and we will make it ours." Their love had survived the harshest of conditions, and now it would carry them into the future. Together, they would bridge the gap between their worlds, creating something truly extraordinary. A child born from the strength of their connection, and a future shaped by the love they had found against all odds. The stars were just the beginning.